You know that dream so many of us have, right? To be an independent artist with complete creative freedom. But there's a hidden side to that freedom, a trap, really, that can quietly kill a career before it even gets off the ground. So let's get into it and talk about how to build something that actually lasts. This quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. See, when you're just putting music out there without any kind of real business structure, you feel free. No label is telling you what to do. But in reality, your work is totally unprotected. It's just out there, floating around with no legal owner, no system to catch all the money it's making, and nothing to protect it for the future. And look, this isn't some abstract idea. This exposure has real consequences that just pile up over time. It means you're leaving money on the table that, trust me, no one else is going to chase down for you. It means you slowly lose control because you have zero leverage to negotiate anything. And after a while, all of that just eats away at your confidence. So that brings us to the big question, right? How do you actually fix this? Well, the answer isn't a viral TikTok or some lucky break. It's much simpler. It's structure. It's about making a conscious decision to turn your music from a passion project into a real ownable asset. And the foundation for all of this is a concept that seems to confuse a lot of artists, but is actually incredibly straightforward. As one artist, you need to start thinking like two separate businesses. This is the key that unlocks everything. Here's why this works. Every single song you make actually has two different parts, two identities, and each one has its own rights and its own way of making money. First, you have the sound recording. That's the actual MP3 file that people listen to. But then you have the song itself, the lyrics, the melody, the composition. And this slide breaks it down perfectly. Your record company owns the audio file, the master, and it collects master royalties. Meanwhile, your publishing company owns the songwriting, the composition, and it collects publishing royalties. Just think of them as two different jobs that get two different paychecks. And that is why this matters so much. When you create a separate company for each of these rights, everything becomes crystal clear. You make sure you can collect all the money your music is generating, and you give your life's work a stable, protected home that's built to last. Okay, so you get it. You need two companies. But how in the world do you actually build them? It is not nearly as complicated as the industry wants you to think it is. Let's walk through the three simple foundational steps right now. So the backbone of this whole thing is something called an LLC, a limited liability company. The name sounds super formal, I know, but the idea is simple. An LLC builds a legal wall between your business and your personal life. So if for whatever reason your music business gets into financial trouble, that wall protects your personal stuff, your house, your car, your savings. It's a huge layer of protection. And here they are, the three core moves. That's it. First, you form two LLCs, one for the record company, one for the publishing company. Second, you get two EINs, one for each. And third, you open two separate business bank accounts. That is the entire foundation. Simple as that. Okay, so what's an EIN? Just think of it like a social security number, but for your company. It's how banks and the IRS see your company as its own thing, separate from you. And the best part, it is completely free from the IRS website, and it only takes a few minutes to get. It's a critical step to making your whole operation legit. Finally, and this one is non-negotiable. You cannot mix your business money with your personal money, ever. Having separate bank accounts lets you see exactly what's coming in and what's going out, which makes tax time so much easier. It also keeps that legal wall from your LLC strong. But most importantly, it gives you real clarity on whether your music is actually a profitable business.
All right, so you've built these two companies, but right now they're like empty houses with no plumbing or electricity. You need to connect them to the systems that actually track your music and send you the money. You gotta plug them into the grid.
For your publishing company, that means a few key registrations. You've got to join a PRO, like ASCAP or BMI, to collect performance royalties. Then you register with the MLC to get your streaming mechanicals. But listen, this next part is so important. For both of them, you have to register as both the songwriter and as your LLC, the publisher. If you skip that publisher part, you are literally just walking away from half the money. Now, for your record company, the main connection is your distributor. Think DistroKid, TuneCore, one of those. They're the ones who get your recordings onto Spotify and Apple Music. And here is a critical pro tip. When you upload your music, always put your record company's LLC name as the label name. This one small step trains the entire industry to see you as a real business. Okay, the structure is built. Everything is connected. Now let's get to the fun part, the payoff. This is where you really start to see the magic of having this two-company system. Check this out. When someone hits play on your song, it doesn't just create one payment. It creates two. Your publishing company gets paid performance and mechanical royalties for using the song, and at the exact same time, your record company gets paid master royalties for using the recording. This happens everywhere: radio, TV, movies, two separate payments flowing into two separate companies that you own. And this is just staggering. Artists who don't set up their publishing properly, who only focus on the recording side of things, can miss out on up to half, 50%, of the total income their music makes. That money doesn't just disappear. It sits in an account somewhere, waiting to be claimed by a publisher that was never created. And let's be really clear about something. This is not some sneaky loophole or a way to game the system. This is about understanding the system. Music is valuable because it has multiple layers of rights. By owning both companies, you are simply putting yourself in a position to collect everything you are legally and creatively owed. Building this whole structure, it does way more than just clean up your finances. It fundamentally changes your mindset. It shifts you from thinking like an artist just hoping for a break to thinking like a long-term business owner. And that transformation is incredibly powerful. You're no longer just asking for permission to get heard. You're a business owner negotiating terms. You stop reacting to every little trend and start making strategic plans for your catalog. You stop being a disposable fad and you start building something durable, something that can last a lifetime. And this is really the whole thing, isn't it? All that uncertainty, all the chaos and guesswork that comes with being an indie artist. When you build a real foundation, all of that energy gets channeled into a focused strategy. Structure is what gives you control. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Are you treating your music like a temporary hobby that just depends on luck? Or are you ready to start building it into a real, durable asset that can support you for years to come? The choice, and now the tools to do it, are all yours.